Good morning, crafty friends. Happy Saturday. Welcome to Stamp and Create with Beth. I'm Beth Roy, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Today is Saturday, July 12th, 2025. And I'm going to show you some new product that just came out in July. And it is called Charming Day Bundle. It is part of the Floral Charm Suite. Look for my paper here. So I'll show you some of the bits and pieces to that. And I'm just going to wait for some people to pop in here. Say good morning if you pop in. Good morning, Joan. If you haven't hung out with us before, let us know where you're watching from. Okay. So I'm just giving it a few minutes. I'm trying to, there we go, pull everything up on my computer. So good morning, good morning. I can see I'm really crooked. Let's fix that. Sometimes I just can't tell. Okay, so we'll see how I did. I might have to learn to edit and get that part out. Hey, Linda, good morning. Good morning, Deb. So you'll notice I have a mile-high stack of inks next to me, but we're not going to use all those today. I've just been kind of playing around. I have a lot of things on my desk, and I want to show you some things I was trying out. And I am going to be sharing some different color combos. I came up with a ton of color combos and I'm just kind of working through some of those. But we are going to play with this set today. So this is Charming Day. It is a couple floral images, and I love the fonts on the greetings. And it has some coordinating dies. It has 3 dies that cut out these shapes here. And then it has some standalone dies. I'm going to show you those. So let me pull in this. So you can die cut your stamped images. And then it has these fun little pieces that you can die cut any color and then add color to. So on this card, I used blends to make them the same color that I used for my leaves. Now the color combo for this card was Early Espresso, Crumb Cake, Basic Beige, Cloud Cover, and Secret Sea. And I love these colors together. So you'll see when I list color combos, you don't have to use every color equally. So sometimes that's the challenge. And I used some two-toned paper here for my layers. And this is a little technique where you can emboss and then use a sanding block to reveal that white core. So I hope you all shopped yesterday and grabbed you some of that two-tone while it was on sale. Good morning, Christy. Thank you, Linda. So that's where I used this. And then we have this large image, which you can see. Oops, there's that part that didn't pop out. You can see you could take your blends and color this in, or watercolor it, or maybe even use the pencils on it. I've not tried that, but you could color this and use this on your card layer, or you could cut it out of a certain color and just use it as a background piece. It doesn't have to have color to it. And then there's this one. So I really like the standalone dies as well. So that's what you get when you die cut. So I'm really liking those. Now I have a large pile of stuff over here because we are going to just play with it and see what we want to do. So the other card that I made, that I finished, was this one. And this was when I posted the two colors. One had pecan pie and one didn't. And one had secret C. So I flopped out pecan pie for secret C. And then when I was coloring this, I thought, oh my gosh, I didn't use the pecan pie. And so I ended up using both color combos together. But I love it. So this was Secret C and Cloud Cover, Basic Beige, Crumb Cake, Pecan Pie, and we don't have an early espresso blend, right? So I used the deep natural tones, which is 100 and 200, and they very much resemble early espresso. So, and we do not have a basic beige blend either. You know, I can always hope that that will get added sometime in the future, but the ivory can sub in, but it's more yellow. So I like to use ivory and then cover it with light crumb cake, and I feel like that kind of looks like the basic beige. So not exact, but it works. Joan, you ordered two-tone? Me too. I have some people that wanted to share with me, and I sent them a list of all the colors I ordered, and one replied back and said, it would have been easier to just say what you weren't ordering. Because I asked if there was anything they wanted that I hadn't ordered. So yeah, I do love it though. And I'm going to show you some things about it here in a minute. So I wanted to show you some of the things I've been playing with. So I posted another color combo. It was Peach Pie, Timid Tiger, Mossy Meadow, Pretty Peacock, and Basic Beige. Now I have not finished this into a card, but I stamped in the Basic Beige. And you know what I did is, this is Willow White. And I haven't had a lot of luck with the blends in Willow White because it is thinner than our dyed cardstock. So here's our dyed, actually, that one might be, I can only tell when I get them next to each other. Willow White is bright white and Basic White is a creamier white. So, it spreads. It's not as thick. It's just the dyed, the fibers are dyed all the way through on the Basic White, and so it's different than the Willow White. And this is that color combo. Now, I will tell you, I'm going to show you where I got that from. This one, I ended up adding in some Cajun Craze instead of the Peach Pie. So when you see a color combo and you're playing, you can add and subtract things. I just like to give you ideas, but here is the original, and I actually have Pretty Peacock and Mossy Meadow on my leaves, so you can't tell it as well on that one. You can't, this is on Basic White, and you can see I stamped again in the Basic Beige, which kind of gives you like a no line look. So this was the Peach Pie, and this is Timid Tiger. And I wasn't sure. It just was not what I was going for. I'm going to show you in a second what I was trying for. Then I tried some watercoloring, and I used Crumb Cake ink, which does smear when you add water to it, but I was just kind of playing. I did add a little bit of Cajun Craze in with my Timid Tiger and Peach Pie, and I felt like my Pretty Peacock didn't quite come through on my leaves, but I just played really quick yesterday. Yesterday was scheduled for family time, so it wasn't in my room very much. Good morning, Vicki. So let me show you this paper. So this is the Floral Charm paper. It goes with the suite. Okay, let me move this aside for a second. So the suite was part of the online exclusives release for July, and it has this bundle. You can buy them separate. It has this paper pack, which is gorgeous. The shimmer faceted dots. I have these on the way. They're getting here Monday or Tuesday. And then this petal pink braided trim. Now, it was like a linen or a crumb cake color. So this is very thick. I don't recommend bows for your cards, but you can pull this apart and make it thinner. It is very pretty. So I don't have that yet either. Sorry, I had a phone call and I had to shut it off on my watch so it wouldn't interrupt my video. So let's look at the paper really quick. Get that out of the way. I love this. So here is where that second color combination came from. Now, when you look on the back of the paper pack, it tells you there's Berry Burst, Blackberry Bliss, Mossy Meadow, Night of Navy, Pretty Peacock, and Timid Tiger. And I was trying to kind of recreate this look. Now, it's watercolored, and I don't profess to be great at watercoloring, but I wanted to kind of repeat this because I loved, this is Mossy Meadow and Pretty Peacock, and I love that. And this may be Timid Tiger here, but this definitely is not. So my only guess is that this is Cajun Craze, even though it isn't listed. And I don't know the outline color. I can't tell if it's black or like early espresso. Now, those colors aren't listed, and that's okay, but I felt like the background wasn't true white, and it definitely isn't very vanilla. So it's just kind of a mix. So that's where I came up with the basic beige, Pretty Peacock, Mossy Meadow, Peach Pie, and Timid Tiger originally, but then I decided to add in Cajun Craze. So let's see. This is the paper. Isn't it pretty? I love this. Now this is a brown. I'm not sure what it is. I'm guessing crumb cake. Okay, but this is definitely Berry Burst. And then there's some leaves that are all different colors, which I think is really pretty. There's that Timid Tiger. And I liked this one too. Now, if you guys remember, and I think I got rid of it, we had a stamp that looked like this flower long ago. I think I sold that set. And I don't know that we have a new one, but the paper's gorgeous. And it's okay if you don't have exact things, because this floral does match. There's the Mossy Meadow. Aren't these beautiful? Now this is Night of Navy and Pretty Peacock with the Berry Burst. And this is gorgeous, isn't it? I just like the colors. It feels very calming, but pretty. I know it has some bright colors in there, but it just feels very pretty. So that was my inspiration. I think this might be my favorite piece out of the whole paper pack. You want the paper? It is gorgeous. Okay, so those were my ideas. Okay, are you guys ready to play? So I'm going to show you all the bits and pieces I have, and you're going to tell me what we're going to make. So I have pieces for some layered card. I don't have a bunch of these, but I suppose I could cut some really quick. It doesn't have to be as layered, or we can do a simple card like this. So I really love this, and we could make it lighter. You could layer two images and make one a little bit lighter. So this, I just did the stippling. Okay. So we're going to decide really quick if we want a layered or a simple stamped card. And I have, like I said, I have a bunch of things over here. I literally just went to town with some die cuts. And these are two-toned, okay, except for the white. So I did some arches. I did a textured arch. This is like the one here. I did a couple different backgrounds that we could sand. And this is willow white. And I noticed when I used the blends on it and I kind of did the dotting, it was fine. It didn't spread the same. And for my base, I have basic beige. I do want to tell you about this while you're deciding. So this is the smallest arch die, and it does not go this long. So what I did, I want to tell you this little tip, okay? Because my happy birthday didn't fit. I was going to put happy birthday on this. So I laid my die down, and I did like a partial die cut, and I only cut it up so far. Then I took my die and I moved it, and I laid the plate over just this end so that it would cut out the rounded part. And I just wiggled the die until it fit into some of these holes, the stitched part. And then I was able to extend that die. So there's a little tip to extend your dies to fit your greeting. So I have that in there too. Ooh, everybody wants a layered card. Okay, so I'm going to take this one away. Now, this one I actually did some coloring on the inside, and I still have plenty of room to write my little message. And this one, I fell short. I didn't do the inside, but we'll do that on our card. So on this one, I just colored with blends, but we can also do the stippling, okay? So now that we know we want a layered card, you see I have all these layers we can play with. I don't have, I only have one of these cut, but that's okay. We can stamp and color. Now this is, this might be the willow white. I have to literally get a piece of basic white out to tell the difference. Oops. Okay. I think it's basic white. Okay, so we'll leave that over there. So if you want a true vintage feel to your card, you can use Very Vanilla. I don't have a lot of that, so I chose to just go ahead and use the basic white. Good morning, Dad. Thanks for joining us. You did partial die cuts for a 4-H project. That's cool. That's cool. I love partial die cutting. It's a great fun technique. You can do it to extend your dies, like I just said, or you can do it to combine two shapes. Okay, so now we know we're doing layered, and do you guys want to do some more flowers that are the orange tone? So we could do Timid Tiger, Peach Pie, Cajun Craze, and kind of all mixed together with that Mossy Meadow and Pretty Peacock. Or do you want to do the Secret Sea and the Cloud Cover? Now, these two pieces, I didn't cut any neutrals. We could always add this in with this. I think I try not to have too many colors. 5 is usually my max, but I think this could work well together. I actually stamped this in early espresso. Just because I wanted these lines darker. The other ones I all did in basic beige or crumb cake. So we can just kind of go on the fly and add this color in if you want to do a textured background. I think this could still work. I brought all my products over here so I could tell you. This is called Forever Plaid. So it's a 3D embossing folder, and this is the corrugated, let me tell you. The right name, mini corrugated 3D. So I love this texture. So we can add that in even if you choose the oranges for the flowers. Okay. A purple with a timid tiger. That is definitely something to try. I don't have any out, so I'm just using what I brought over to my desk. And we're doing a basic beige base. So the base is this color. Okay, so we have a very neutral base. I'm going to stamp some more flowers because I want to show you how I colored it. So we can choose the cloud cover, or we can go with the oranges and add in the pretty peacock. You could do the oranges as well with just the browns, the brown leaves. You mean the smaller flower? Like this flower could be blue and these could be orange. You know I love blue and orange together, so this still works. And if you don't like the pretty peacock, you could always leave that off. Okay. So lots of ideas. So right now, this is the creative process. So if you want, if you're watching on YouTube and you want to skip ahead, this is the time where we're going to be deciding things. And if you can skip ahead to just making the card after we've made all the decisions. Okay, so back to... Okay, so Vicky's idea is to combine the colors. And I have a couple votes for blue. So anyone else on that feels comfortable saying you either want this. This is what I would call a very simple color combo. It's a bunch of neutrals with 1 or 2 pop colors. And this would be just a very colorful card. So what do you guys think? Let's get some chatter going and design this card. Now, this one I stamped in Secret C, and this one I stamped in Early Espresso. So I'm gonna, while you guys are deciding what colors you want, I am going to just stamp some flowers. And I didn't use all these inks. I'm going to be really honest. I ended up using blends. I'm going to move some out of the way. So I'm going to stamp So you want Mossy Meadow with the Secret Sea and cloud cover. So I'm just tapping this larger image in the early espresso. Making sure I got it all inked. And I'm just going to stamp these a couple times. And we'll decide what we want. So I'm going to do that while you guys are deciding. And we can have a little flower. We can have 2 flowers if we want. Trying not to get them too close. And we can use this one that I already colored as well. So you can make it really, really layered. So I'm just tapping in that. And some lines, you'll notice on the stamp set, some lines are thicker than others. So I like to just look and make sure my little delicate lines did get inked. So I see a lot of blue. So right now I'm just stamping some of these in that Secret Sea. I love, love, love this Secret Sea color. I think it's really going to be one of my favorites. Okay, so when you're picking colors, I've put a lot of, I think three color combos up this week. I've made a lot more, but I don't think I've shared them with you just yet. So you can use those colors however you like. Maybe when you see early espresso on something, you don't want the paper or you don't want dark colors. Now, I did use those dark browns on the middle of that flower, but you could just use it for outlines or your greeting, okay? So don't think when you see a color combo, you have to use every single color equally, okay? It can just be a splash of that color and just have some fun with changing it up. Okay, so there was a suggestion that maybe instead of the crumb cake for the leaves, to use the darker green. So I used Mossy Meadow blends on this one. And I did add Pretty Peacock in, but you can just do Mossy Meadow. You don't have to have Pretty Peacock. So do you guys want to make that color change? So we would have Cloud Cover. And I have all my things are mixed. This, I didn't actually use any Secret Sea blends. We do have Secret Sea blends, but I didn't use those. And I used this Natural Tones Deep for this, which we don't have to do that. You could use in some of the other ones I've colored, I have used the Secret Sea in the middle. Or you could use green. You could use whatever colors you want. So, what do you guys think? So we're going to do a layered card. We'll choose one of these textures. And then I have a background piece, and I have crumb cake, and I have cloud cover in those pieces. And then we can, I do have my die cut machine near so that I can color these and die cut those. What do you guys think? Okay, so I'm going to show you this coloring technique. I did not use it on this card. I used it on this, and I used it on this card. So again, if you're watching the YouTube video and you don't want to watch the coloring, now is the time that you will jump ahead. So let me start. With this is dark cloud cover, and you're just adding dots, and I'm not trying to be exact. I'm just putting color on. And then this is the light. Now I will tell you, this cloud cover color looks very different with each media. So the ink, remember we can't buy the full ink pad. There was a reaction with the foam. So you can buy an uninked spot and a refill, or you can buy the classic spot that's in the assortment. The blends looks a little different than the cardstock. So this is the two-toned right here. And you'll notice these look very different. I just used light mostly on this, and they look very different. So the media, the type that you're using can look different, but they still coordinate. Okay, so that's cloud cover right there. Oh, awesome, Deb. I love that. So she said plaid with the cloud cover arch, and then the leaves like on the orange flower. So these leaves are the Mossy Meadow, and it has some pretty peacock in there. So let's try it. I'll show you how I did those leaves on this little flower. And just like in that paper, not every leaf had the pretty peacock on it. It was just kind of a little pop because it does complement the orange, and I really like it with the blue as well. So don't feel like you have to do it exact. I just realized I don't, usually I put a little sheet down so I don't bleed through. These do bleed through. So this is the dark Mossy Meadow. And I'm just going to put a little bit here and there. And I'm just using dots. It's not exact. I just like the texture. And as you add more dots, they'll kind of blend together. That's the beauty of the Stampin' Blends, is when you keep overlapping them, it blends together. Now, when I mixed my colors, when I did the two colors on the leaf, I used dark Mossy Meadow and then dark Pretty Peacock. And I kind of just went a little into where I put that the other dark color, and then added where I just wanted it to be just that color. So I'm just kind of overlapping them. But I want both colors to show. And then I did the light. So I did the light Mossy Meadow. And you don't have to fill it all in. You can leave white space. That's absolutely fine. And then I'm gonna do the light pretty peacock. Now you can do those in any order that you want. That is just what I did, so I'm showing you what I did. Okay, so there's that little flower. What do you think the middle should be? So on this one, I used these two browns to bring in something that was representing early espresso. So the natural tones colors are a lot of beautiful browns and peachy pink tones. And even though we don't have an early espresso blends, I do think the deep looks very much like early espresso. So luckily we have a substitute for that one. So what do you think? Do you like the brown middle, or do you want to do one of the other colors on my table? And I do have the light Secret Sea over here. The dark Secret Sea is very, very dark. Let me grab it and show you. It's super dark. So you can see I've been testing colors out here. So this is the dark Secret Sea. It's very, very dark. And this is the light. It almost looks black. It's a beautiful blue. Dark center. Do you like it dark brown or dark blue, Joan? And while we're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and start on this flower while we're deciding some of those things. Because we are going to need several flowers. And I am going to try a card with this orange and this blue flower mixed. I haven't tried, I've tried the cloud cover with the Timid Tiger, I think, a few times, but not in this context. Like, I think I did stripes or something. So you can see I'm not being real exact here. I'm just adding dots. It's just an artistic thing. It's not a realistic flower. So we're just trying to make a pretty piece, a pretty layer for our card. And you can have darker dots toward the edge of your flower. And when you go over it, it's just gonna blend. I love this. Now, if you do a lot of these in a row, your hand may get sore. I've been known to do full sheets and I have to take breaks, so. Now you could use the brush tip on this when you do the lighter color and just kind of swish the color on, and it will still go over those dots and blend. For the dotting, I am using the stiffer bullet tip end. Like I said, you can leave white space. Alcohol markers spread a little bit, or at least the Stampin' Up! Blends do. When I speak, that's what the product I'm speaking about. And so it takes a little time and it just does blend. It's like magic. So give it a second after you've colored it and see how it looks, and then go back and adjust any areas that you want more color, or maybe you want darker dots, or you want something to be a little bit different. Okay. So I do like coloring this way. I like the texture. I love how it looks. And if you put too much on and you want to go back, you can take your color lifter and dot it, and it will create some white dots. Now, it doesn't have white color in it. It pushes the color through. So that's what the color lifter does. Kind of pushes that color through your paper where you didn't want it. Or it can create a highlight that way. And it just lightens. So you can do it lightly and it will lighten the color. Or if you do it a lot, it's actually going to push it through and bring that white, make it look white. Okay, so there's those. Now let's do our leaves. So we mashed it up a little bit, didn't we? And we'll see, we'll die cut both of these and kind of play with them. Maybe we will just want blue flowers with the orange. We'll see when we get there. Right now I'm just gonna try to quickly do all these leaves. So as I'm coloring, feel free to ask questions, and I need you to pipe in if you want the little flowers to have a dark blue center, like the Secret Sea, or if you want to do the dark brown. So go ahead and discuss the design ideas. And see what we want to do here as I add color to the leaves. Oh, I almost grabbed the wrong colors there. So I'm just making these random. I'm not overthinking where I put the color. I'm just trying to do some that have more green than the pretty peacock, and some have more pretty peacock than the green. Okay. Excuse me. I'm just reading your responses so I can make sure I keep up here. So I see a lot of dark blue. So curious, have any of you that like to use blends, have you tried dotting on the color versus like a flicking or a brush technique, just to see if you like the texture? I really I think this is fun. Like I said, it can kind of wear on your hand a little bit, but you can take breaks. Now I'm finishing up with that light pretty peacock. As soon as I finish this, I'm going to pull it up so that you can kind of see these colors. You can kind of see how they're just coming together and layering. I really like this look. It looks like I'm going to be doing a dark blue center. I'm going to get that started here in a minute. Just making sure I got all my leaves. It is very tedious. Looks like too much work. Yeah, if you like to color, I think this is definitely a fun texture to do. And like I said, long ago, I did not like to color, so I would not have done this. So I completely understand if you don't do this. So there's the texture on those. And you can see they come out very different. So we're going to do a dark blue. So I'm going to do the light Secret Sea on this. And I'm just going to do some lines. But I'm going to try to leave a little bit of white. Like that. So I just filled it in a little bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and color this one quickly, and then I'm going to die cut. And then we are going to get to figuring out what layers we want and how we want to do it. So and I've done videos about this type of coloring where I don't always fill everything in. I like to have what I call a pixelated look. So I like to do this on backgrounds sometimes. Even if I don't do very wide backgrounds like I did on the other card. So I have lots of videos. Now I heard a crafter, another crafter that I follow, call this dot coloring. But in the art world, this is not, this is called stippling. So I decided I better start calling things the right thing because that's truly what it is. Now, there's another word for it, and I don't, pointillism maybe. So one of them is where you're blending. You use the dots that are close together. They don't have to overlap to make your eye appear to see a color. So like you would put a yellow dot and a blue dot next to each other, and your eye perceives it as yellow green together, even though they don't blend. So that's why I don't remember the exact terms. I'm not a trained artist, so I'm just trying to teach card techniques, and I'll do my best to tell you the correct things. Oops. And because I'm used to doing this and coloring this way, you probably think, wow, she's doing that really fast. Well, I've been doing this for a while. So that's why I feel like I'm very, I don't overthink it. I like just the randomness of it. And I feel like it gives me a little freedom than the normal way I blend and use these markers. So if you give it a try or you color this way more often, you may feel more comfortable doing it. And there's my light secret C. And I just barely touched my marker to the paper when I did that. So there's my flowers. Okay, so I'm going to die cut all of these, and we may change our mind and want the orange in there. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Even if we don't use it, that way you can see how you might want to use it. So let me move some things here so I can die cut. I move this so that my die cut machine doesn't slide all over the place. So yes, I really like to do this. Sometimes when I feel like I'm just not getting things how I want, I like to just start dotting. I don't know. Sometimes it's therapeutic. Oh man, I just dropped my die. Don't do that. Okay. So if you're not familiar with die cutting, this is the cut and emboss machine. It does fold up, easy to store. Mine's never stored though. And it comes with a base plate, which is 1, and an adapter, which is 2, and then number 3 are your clear cutting plates. It also comes with an adapter to emboss the 3D embossing folders, which is plate 4. So we're not going to be using that on the video. So I'm just trying to line this up the best I can. I'm not right over top. And I have some Post-it tape that I like to hold my things down with. Let's go ahead and cut this one. And I have some pieces of tape on the side here. Pretty decent. Okay, so we are going to decide what layers we want, but I want you guys to start thinking. So when I make cards, I do pretty much exactly like we're doing right now. Sometimes I don't know exactly which colors I want to layer, so I do a couple different die cuts and colors I think I want. I don't think that's going to fit. Too close. Okay. I'm gonna have to do this, sorry, another pass. So oops, it moved. I do think about the colors I want and how I want them to kind of look when I'm planning. And then I just do what we're doing right now. I grab some pieces and I just start layering them to see what I like and how that works together. And I'm sorry, I know my camera's shaking, so hopefully I'm not making you dizzy on the video. I stamped these too close together, so I didn't want my dies to touch while I ran it through together. Oh. Man, oh man. I'm just trying to be tidy and clean up as I go. So now this feels a little puffy. So what I do is I use the same plate on the bottom and I just flip it over so that it stays a little straighter and it's not warping. And then I use the same plate on the top. I don't interchange mine. I feel like it kind of lengthens the life of my plates by not switching the top and the bottom. You, of course, can do that. I just like to, when I get new plates, I like to open the pack and only take one out. So this one, it does get marked up, but it stays uncut until the bottom one gets so bad that I feel like it's not cutting very well, or you'll know. And if you don't, send me a picture and I'll help you decide. But once this gets really scarred from all the cutting, and it's leaving deep grooves and your white paper's picking up the color that's on there, like if you do colored die cuts, that's usually about the time I switch my plates out. And it depends on how much you die cut, honestly. I use this almost every day. I die cut a ton. So I go through plates faster than maybe some of you would. Okay, so there is that. Let me get this out of the way. Oops. And bring back in my things here. I don't need that scrap now. Okay. So we have our basic beige base, and we have to decide if we want the Forever Plaid. I keep wanting to call this sketched plaid, but that was a stamp. So the Forever Plaid or this mini corrugated. And we're going to do a little technique. So I cut out this orange flower even though we voted for blue, just so that you could kind of see. So here was Vicky's idea, to use these little blue flowers with the orange. And that's really nice. I really like that combo. Okay, so if you don't want all your flowers to be kind of matchy-matchy like this, which I like that too. It kind of depends on the feeling and what I'm feeling like and how many colors. But you can see that's a really big pop there. Okay, so here's the Forever Plaid, and this is the mini corrugated. And we're going to do a technique on these. So let me show you that technique while you're deciding. Okay, now I have a new sanding block here that Miss Vicky gave me. I forgot to order some smaller ones. And this is coarse to medium. So I'm going to use this, we'll see if this end will work. So you just take your sanding block and you go over where those are raised. And I like to use a fine. I don't want it to tear my paper up too much, but this is working pretty good. So you're just exposing that white core. So the two-toned, it has a dark side and a light side. So you could even use the debossed side. But on the embossed side, the side that sticks up, you can do a little sanding block, and you can use a nail file. When I first started this and tried this technique, I used a nail file. So use whatever you have on hand, and you can do that. I just like the kind of a rustic look. So it's a fun technique, and you can do it with any of the embossing folders. Now, it does make a little bit of a mess. Maybe I should bring this back in so I can pull it away. So we've got the plaid. So this may change your mind. I'm going to stick these down here. Now, we don't have our arch on there yet. That's okay. And this is the corrugated. You're just, I love this look. We did this in one of my classes for the beautiful, beautiful gallery, and I just really love this look. So there's that one, and it does create a little dust. You're taking some of the paper off. Good morning, Malvina. How are you? Thanks for joining us. We're just getting done with the messy part. So I see a vote for plaid. So there's the plaid. And here is the corrugated. And I decided to add another flower because on the original card, here's our original card, I did have these leaves, and I don't have as many die cut. I guess I should have thought of that. Now, I do have, this is the light cloud cover, and I have, this is a little bit bigger. This is the original size I used, and this is the dark side. And then I have a light, a smaller crumb cake. And then I wanted to show you this. So you can do a die cut and then an embossing folder. So I kept this out in case we wanted to do a plain background. So this is Secret C, the dyed cardstock. So see how it looks different? The color's even a little different because it's dyed. The two-tone is printed. So the colors are going to be a little different, but they still coordinate. So you can do that. And I had a circle here just in case we wanted to change out the shape. Maybe we don't want an arch. So we could do a circle and overlap our pieces like this. So there's some choices. Oh, I see some plaids. You guys like the plaid? I love the plaid. Okay, so Deb suggests we just make 2 cards and do 1 blue flower and 1 with the blue only. So what do you guys think? You guys want to do 2 cards? I do have 2 bases here. So let's move this out of the way. So the reason why I use the cloud cover back here on this card is because I did all the leaves in the crumb cake and I didn't want it to be crumb cake heavy. I'm going to use this larger one. So do you like it? I feel like my flowers are, this is the light cloud cover. I feel like my flowers are just kind of blending in. So for this one, we may want to use the crumb cake. And even though this is stitched, if you really want the other side, you could take your bone folder and go along the edge and kind of smash down that stitched look. So this is the dark side of the crumb cake. Okay, so we're playing, and I have all kinds of things we can use for the greetings. So here we go. Now I might trim this down a little. This one I trimmed down. I like to start my layers at 5 1/4 inch by 4. Okay, that's our typical layer. But I cut this one down because I wanted it to have a little less. So this one, because of the way the embossing folder does, it actually makes it shorter when it crinkles it. So I may trim that one down too. Ah, thank you. Great suggestions. So here we are. We're all designers here, aren't we? Okay, so I'm going to trim these down a little bit. And I forget, I think I did. Let me get my ruler out here. I did 3.5 by 4 3/4 for that. So I like that this neutral kind of shows through. I think it calms our colors down a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and trim these. And then we need to decide what greetings we want. Okay. So I'm going to bring in my trimmer really quick. And I'm going to trim these down. So I need this to be 3. Oh, I said 3.5, didn't I? And you could keep these little strips. You could put them on the inside of your card if you wanted. 3.5 by 4 1/4. So 3.5. And I'm gonna let's see. I'm gonna cut this. I'm gonna try to get it even. So I cut at 5, and then I'm gonna flip it around and do 4 1/4. Because of the way the embossing folder is, I didn't want to lose too many of my lines and make it look uneven. Okay, so there's our layers. So this one went with the plaid. And really, we put Pretty Peacock on those leaves, but I don't think it's too distracting from our color combo because it's not in your face, the dark Pretty Peacock, if that makes sense. The green kind of tones that down. It just gives it a little bit of something. So here's this. So Here's our 2 cards. And if you're like me and you over die cut, then you have plenty of things for 2 cards. I was thinking I'd put this kind of like this, and then I could stamp a greeting here, or we can bring in, let me see, I've got all kinds of greeting pieces here. So it depends on what we want. That might be, no? That might be the cardstock instead of, no, it is two-toned. It might be very vanilla. I'm not sure. I just grabbed a bunch of things. But I will tell you, the two-toned can have quite a bit of variation. Actually, this is the cardstock, basic beige, and this is the two-toned. So you can see it looks different because this is printed. So even in a paper pack, some of your two-toned will have quite a bit of variation. Oh, another small blue one. I think so too, but just to save on time, I'm going to let it go with 1. So you could, Vicky was saying make it even so there's 2 blue flowers on either side. So that is definitely an option, but to save on time, I'm just going to go with the 1. Okay, so we're building our card, and now we have to come up with our greetings. So I love the greetings in this. The happy birthday is big. I love this little hay stamp, and I did thanks for being you on this card. So this is like a simple stamped card. I just stamped a layer, and I colored it, and I added a layer behind it. We could also use the Simply Said, or there's some pretty things in the new pear set, the Perfectly Pears. What other sets do I have out here? I feel like I'm missing, oh, here they are. I was like, I'm missing some stamps. Let's see, I've got some I've got to dig out here. The Sunrise Sailing has, congratulations. This could be a wedding card, best wishes. That one's probably too big. Let me see. So I just grabbed a couple things here. This one I love because it has different, you know I love Just a Note. Ooh, that reminds me, where's the other set? So this one has some great things. This Perfectly Pairs, that's the class we're doing right now. And beautiful motifs. So I love this one as well because it has a hello, thinking of you, just a note. And you could do celebrate and then put happy birthday on the inside. I like to mix fonts, so I'm okay if they are not exact. Okay, so here is my extended arch that I made. And we can stamp it with happy birthday. Hopefully it fits. I didn't really measure it. And I like that it's kind of scripty and it's not straight. It looks handwritten, so you don't have to worry about if it is perfect, if it's exact. Okay, so I stamped this one in the Early Espresso. Now, I do have white tags over here as well, so I'm not sure where this one will go. It might fit somehow on here. This is too matchy-matchy, so if it would go on this card. I think I'm going to stamp it in the early espresso like I did on this one. But over here, we may want to do the secret C. So I'll let you guys decide on that. And I'm just tapping onto our foam pad. So if you're new to stamping, you don't want to squish down on this pad. The ink will come up out of the pad and get all around the edge of your stamp. And you don't want that, or it's going to stamp onto your project and create a halo. So I'm just going to line this up and go for it and get it as straight as I can. I can't really see because of my camera, but that's okay. We're just going to go with it. It looks like somebody wrote happy birthday, and I like that. The stamp does it for me. So this one will go down here somehow. Maybe we'll overlap it like that. And then I don't know. I'm just kind of playing right now. I don't know if I like that. Maybe we want it to go like this. Okay, that's just an idea, okay? Make the arch card landscape. So the arches would go to the side, or like this, you mean? I'm trying not to cover up my flowers too much. Maybe? I don't know. So Joan says hello on the other one. That sounds good. You know I love hello. Okay, so this one to the side. So if you have ideas on this, if you don't like it landscape, just put in the comments. I'm not sure how I like it. I'm running out of space here, even with it being landscape. I don't know. I'm not loving it. I'm not loving how I can configure it together. So I don't know. I don't know. I'll let you guys decide on that. I'm going to let you sit on that for a minute and see what else you think. Maybe it could go. I don't know if that looks upside down. I don't know. I'm going to lay this to the side for a second, and we're going to move to this one. So I like that this kind of goes around the circle, and then we can stamp right here. So we have some choices. This stamp set has hey, which is very informal. This one has hello. This one has hello, and this one, and they're all different scripts. So, and I'm going to close this because I'm going to use Secret C on this one. So what do you think? Which font do you like the best? Let's do, these are I'm going to take the hay away because that's informal. So this one's scripty and this one's kind of like a handwritten. And then this one is like a type font. So let's vote between these. Pull this down for a second. 1, 2, or 3. And it's just going to get stamped right there on that circle. And we don't have to use a die cut. Now you could bring in a die cut, like if you had this really layered, you could bring in a die cut like that and stamp a teeny tiny, you would have to have a teeny tiny hello or something like this. Okay. I did do this. This is that rounded rectangle and there's these little labels, but sometimes I like to keep it simple when I've done a lot of texture. I like to eliminate some of the layers. So I'm going to arrange this somehow and we're going to stamp onto that circle. So 1, 2, 3. Simply said hello. Oh, I see a lot of 3s. A lot of you like this one. Jana says she would make the greeting smaller. For this one. So if you want this happy birthday, I was just showing that we can change this greeting. If you don't like it. Sometimes when I start moving the pieces, like I don't know, it's the 2 arches together and it has a big floral and I feel like I'm covering something I don't want to. See, I don't think I like how that works together. Yeah, maybe if I had a bigger arch, and I don't have one cut, but I don't like those sizes together in that way. We could also take this away and do it just on the background and then do the happy birthday. Okay, so, a lot of you voted for that one. Okay, so let me move all of these out of the way. I'm going to stamp that hello in the Secret C color. I'm going to do it right on my circle. I'm still working on this one, so you can continue to kind of give me your thoughts on those. And let me know what you think. You like it without the background arch? Me too. Yeah, it just felt too much. It felt too heavy. Maybe if this was larger and it felt like this arch fit on it, but because I changed that arch and made it an extended die cut, it didn't fit quite right with that size. So sometimes you have to lay it out and see how it looks before you can decide. Sometimes I really have an idea in my head, and then when I start getting all my pieces out and playing, I don't always love it. So I'm going to stamp this hello kind of right there, and we'll work with this and kind of play with it. Okay, I'm going to get all my inks out of the way so I'm not have anything open, anything that's, I'm going to stick my fingers in. Sometimes less is more. That is very true. Yes, and more of the background shows, and that's what we want. So even on this, if you had wanted a smaller circle, which I do have a smaller circle. I happen to have one cut because I have a whole bunch here from a class. So I do have, now this is a cardstock, this is a two-tone. So see the difference? These are both basic beige. But this matches our base, so you could do that. You could use a smaller circle and stamp. So what do you think? Do you like the smaller circle? So we would kind of layer this up more and put the hello here. Or do you like the bigger one? Kind of breaks up, the neutral helps break up some of those big colors. I'm just fiddling with it. And maybe you like it, you could even like it like this. You like the smaller circle? What do you guys think? While you're deciding on that, I'm going to go ahead and start adhering these pieces. So my base is basic beige. It is 5.5 by 8.5, and I scored at 4 1/4. Okay, that's our standard size. And you can make it a portrait or a landscape. I'm going to just start adhering these. Now, when you adhere down textured pieces, you're going to want to use a very good adhesive. So I like to use liquid glue. It really needs to have something that helps it stick. You can also use the Seal. I almost called it the old name. The Seal Plus, or you could use tear and tape. Those two do not have any give, so that's why I like to use the liquid, because I feel like if I get something a little crooked and I didn't mean to, I can fix it. Now I'm going to adhere this down, but I might put these on dimensionals. I kind of like it popped up a little bit. So these would be popped up. And this would be flat. I normally do it opposite. I normally do my image flat and this popped up. But I think this could be cute down flat and then pop this up and give it some height. So I'm just kind of guessing where this is going to go, and we're going to just make it work. So I'm putting it, I don't know, about the middle. And then grab some dimensionals. So a lot of you have said the bigger circle. So I'm just going to put some dimensionals on here. So raise your hand in the comments if you love dimensionals. I feel like I use them on almost every card. And I do tend to like to use a lot of dimensionals, so I'm sorry if you're going, oh my goodness. I like my piece to be very sturdy especially if it's going to go through the mail. Now, sometimes I've heard people say they like to use less so that it squishes a little when it goes through the mail, and that's okay too. So do whatever you like. Okay, so I'm going to put this here. I like to cover the end of my die cut there. And let's see, how do I want this to, there we go. Okay. So I have a little dimension on there. There's card 1. Now today's a twofer because we did 2 cards instead of 1. And we're going to keep this with the larger circle. Oh, have a good weekend, Joan. Thank you so much. I appreciate the love. Now we do need to put a piece on the inside there, and I will do that. So again, this card base is exactly the same. It's basic beige, 5.5 by 8.5. And I scored at 4 1/4. And again, this layer is textured, so you want to use some strong glue on it. Glue on my finger. I just noticed this is a little crooked, and if you're like me, that just bothers me. There we go. Now you could angle this like I did on this one, okay? Or you can keep it straight. I'm trying to get it straight. We'll see. And I'm just brushing this off. I noticed that I had a little dust still on there. Now, I'm going to show you how you can pop all of this up. So we're going to lay it down how we want it, and we're going to make a little layer that we can pop up the entire thing. So I had a comment. Let me see. Vicky says the blue at the bottom anchors it. So she liked this. And remember, this can hang off your layer. So that's one of the reasons I like to make this a little smaller. It helps that color kind of go over into the neutral. So we can do this, okay? And I have a little bit of that neutral showing at the bottom. So what I do is I'm going to take my glue. You can also use glue dots. And I'm just going to put a little dab there to kind of hold that where I want it. And I'm going to put a little bit on this end. Now, I'm not putting glue on everything, just where it's going on my circle. I think I like it there. Okay, so this is a floating piece right now because I didn't put any glue over the edge. And then we will put dimensionals on all of it, and it creates a whole layer that is popped up. Excuse me. And you can use the minis if you want them to go on your leaf and they're too small. You can use a mini. Okay, I think that's enough. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Okay, so all right, so how many of you, I know I've already heard from some people that they don't think, they don't want to add this because they have a lot of florals, and I completely understand that. I love this floral though, so I decided to go ahead and grab it and add it to my collection. So what do you think about this floral? Is it going, are you going to be adding it? Is it on your wish list? And if you don't have a cut and emboss machine, you can just buy the stamp set. You could fussy cut around this if you wanted it to be out like this. So there we go. There are our 2 cards we created together. We combined a lot of the techniques from these 2 cards. So I did the dotting, which is stippling, and we used some layers and added some texture by using the two-toned and using a sanding block and exposing some of that white core. So again, the two-toned is printed, so it has a white core. You can do a lot of fun techniques with it. And it also has a light side and a dark side. And then I did use some cardstock. This is basic beige. So our cardstock line, originally, Stampin' Up's original line, is dyed. So it means the fibers are dyed all the way through the paper. So that's the difference if you weren't sure. What do you guys think? I need to grab a couple white pieces here and put them on the inside. Let me see what size this is. Okay. Trying to see what I have in here. This one's, I like to use 3 3/4 by 5 on my inside, but every once in a while I do use 5 1/4 by 4. So you can pick whichever size you like. I'm just using a piece of basic white. You could stamp the flower and color it. That's what I did on the inside of this one. I just stamped a flower and I created, I created a look like I did on the front for the inside. So, or you can just stamp them and leave it plain. Okay. I'm not sure if I want them colored or not. Excuse me. I am going to use the smaller flower, and I stamped most of them in the Secret C. So just so you can see it, this is stamped in Secret C, and this is stamped in Early Espresso, and you can't really tell the difference. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I got a little tickle in my throat. Excuse me. Ooh, yeah, Vicky, right. I have this cutoff strap, this scrap right here that I could I could use on the inside. We'll do that for that one. And on this one, I'm just going to stamp a little flower in there. And I am sorry, I have a little tickle in my throat. And it doesn't seem to want to go away. So when you're stamping, make sure when you stamp your inside, it matches the orientation for the outside. Numerous times I have stamped it the wrong direction. So I'm going to stamp this little flower here in the corner, and we'll do the paper on the other one. That's a great idea. Thanks for reminding me. I had that off to the side. I was going to show that. Sometimes I forget. Okay, so if you wanted to do this, you could color it quickly. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to color this quickly for anyone that wants to hang out. If you don't want to hang out, thank you for watching, and I hope I gave you some ideas to copy and have some fun with. But sometimes I like to make the inside detailed like the outside. So it's really up to you and your preference. And I apologize for my coughing. Make sure I'm not on any of my cards. And I will quickly do the leaves. And I'm just doing it to kind of match that outside. And there we go. Okay, there we have it. I'm just gonna adhere this on the inside. You don't need a ton of liquid glue, just a little bit. And the way I stamp this flower, because there's no words, if I had stamped it on accident, you know, a different way, it would work for portrait as well. Just not everything. Some things definitely have a direction, so just be careful. Now this one, I'm just going to put a little strip of glue here. If I can get my glue to come out. Here we go. I'm going to take this piece and push it right where I laid that glue. Oops. I don't think I got it straight, but oops. It doesn't want to stick. Try again. I didn't have enough glue, I don't think. I like to have a little bit of white showing at the bottom. There we go. Now I'm going to flip this over, grab my scissors, and just trim off that excess. Christy, you'll be stamping soon enough. You're just starting, so this is probably a little more advanced card, but I believe that beginners can do anything that they want. So it's up to you, and and how much you want to explore and try. I got a little glue, so I'm using my adhesive remover there. And I think it's on my finger because I just got stuck to something else. Okay, so you can have a fun little element. So I started off big with this one. It was a 5 1/4 by 4 inch piece, and then I trimmed it off. So I had these little strips that I could use on the inside. Or you could stamp and color it up. You could leave it plain. But you can see I love this. And I like that we added some color into that. So we changed it up a little bit from that one. What do you guys think? So if you want to copy me, feel free, go ahead. You can copy these ideas or the cards exactly. That is fine with me. So thank you all for hanging out with me today. If you are wanting, let me find my cards, the Painterly Pairs class. So this sign up is pinned to the top of my page, and both my group and my Stamp and Create with Beth page. So you get 3 of each card, and you get cardstock packs. So this base would be cut for you, the circle, the label, and this little petal pink. You get half a pack of the patterned paper, so you will be cutting the patterns that you want to use on your cards. And you can change them out and make them look different. I did use the Perfectly Pair stamp set, but I will be showing you in the class video how you can use the Designer Series paper instead, okay? And you can use any greeting set you want with that. So if you want that class, make sure you go grab it. You only have one more day to reserve it and sign up and get it. So thank you all. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon. If you need any Stampin' Up products, please go to my online store at bethroy.stampinup.net and click on that Shop Now button. That helps support my business. So take care, everyone. Have a beautiful weekend, and I'll see you soon. Bye.